Hello, my name is Stephen Redman and welcome to another episode of Pastor's Library, the channel where we discuss everything to do with theology books, especially books that might be on a reading list for a seminary course or a reading list for a master's or bachelor's degree in biblical studies or in theology. Or maybe just simply books that have caught your eye on a friend's bookshelf or in your pastor's office or in a Christian bookshop. Whatever it is, we want to comment, we want to try and help you, give you some pointers. And if you like what we have to say today, please give us a thumbs up. It does help the algorithm. And if you click on the bell and subscribe, then you will be notified whenever we launch another episode. But there's no other commitment. So it's okay. So today I want us to talk about my favourite commentaries on the book of 1 Peter. 1 Peter is a brilliant book. It's a book I love looking at. I've gone back to it time and time again. I have really had a lot of help from giants on whose shoulders I stand, and I will introduce you to some of those giants in a moment. Firstly, just before we talk about commentaries, I usually mention the New Testament Theology book. This is the Cambridge New Testament Theology. It's written by Andrew Chester and Ralph Martin. The theology of the letters of James, Peter and Jude. And the section on 1 Peter is written by Ralph Martin. It was published in 1996 and it's just 46 of these pages that are on Peter. But they do give you a background to the theology of 1 Peter, and I actually really like Ralph Martin. If I see Ralph Martin on the spine of a book, that is an inclination for me to pick it up. It's very good. Also, Word Biblical Themes by J. Ramsey Michaels, who has also done the 1 Peter Commentary, which we'll be coming to in a moment in the Word Biblical Commentary series. This is a great book looking at the themes of the epistle, a little bit about the theology of the epistle. It was published though in 1989, but it's 115 pages. And if you can get a low-cost version of this, I would say it's a worthwhile purchase. Okay, now to get on to the commentaries, here's a couple that you may not immediately think of. The Pentecostal Commentary on 1 Peter, 2 Peter and Jude. This is by Professor Rebecca Skaggs. 77 pages of it are on 1 Peter. It was published in 2004. I did read through those 77 pages when I last preached my way through Peter. I found it helpful. I just sort of think that maybe it's not as detailed as it could be. It's not a thick book and it gives you commentary on 3 New Testament books, admittedly one of which is only a couple of paragraphs, but it is all the same probably worth looking at. Again, if you can get a low-cost copy. Interpretation is not one of my favourite series, but this one's written by Phoebe Perkins, and I really like her work. And this is on 1st and 2nd Peter, James and Jude, so there's a lot crammed in here. 82 pages of it are written about 1 Peter, and I would say to you, these 82 pages are well worth a glance. It was published in 1995. To the best of my knowledge, that's as recent as it gets. But Phoebe Perkins is always worth a look. Now, this I would suggest is a very good value book. This has 2 advantages. You can read a number of commentaries on a number of books, and you can also wedge your door open with it. This is volume 10 of the New Interpreter's Bible Commentary. It offers you Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, 1 and 2 Thessalonians, 1 and 2 Timothy, Titus, Philemon, Hebrew, James, 1 and 2 Peter, 1, 2 and 3 John, Jude and Revelation. What a lot. My version here was published in 2015. It's got 757 pages, only 82 of which are on 1 Peter. But when you think about what we've just looked at, whether Rebecca Skaggs version or the Phoebe Perkins version, it's a similar number of pages, but As of this morning, this is £63. And if you were to spend £63 on it, you would be getting decent commentaries on all of those books. So don't dismiss this series. It does offer very, very good value. The New Testament Library is a series that I've only really recently engaged with. Lewis Donaldson has written the version covering 1, 2 Peter and Jude. 204 pages are on 1 Peter. Now, we've already now just doubled up the size of the commentary compared to the previous ones we've looked at. This was published in 2013, and I would say to you, this is an engaging read. You will get a lot more detail in here. There's a good bibliography, which for some weird reason is at the front of the book, but that seems to be the case with this series. But it's a worthwhile product to engage with. Soft paperback, but it'll take a bit of rough and tumble. It's a worthwhile read. I've also got in my hand here the Abingdon Commentary by Eugene Boring on 1 Peter. This was published in 1999. It's 220 pages. I would say to you, Boring's very good on this. He really is. He has a lot to say. I have gone back and read and reread this on different occasions, consulting particular sections, and I really like this commentary. The reading literary and theological commentary, the reading series, Reading the New Testament, I think are often ignored, but they shouldn't be ignored because they offer a lot. They are a literary commentary and a theological commentary in one volume. And I know that probably the best commentaries are, but by no means is the theology dealt with. And this does deal with it, deals with it well. This was published in 2000 and it's got 244 pages devoted to 1 Peter. The rest is to Jude and to 2 Peter. And I would suggest to you this is a good read. The author is Earl Richard, but you could easily be mistaken that this was an absolute top commentator. I have to say, I think that is a very good value book. You'll typically pick that up for about £20 if you look around, brand new. Dennis Edwards has recently published the Story of God Bible commentary on 1 Peter. And I would say to you the commentary in this is worthwhile. It does have a little bit of the scent of the NIVAC commentary, the New International Version Application commentary, but that's because it's really trying to build this into a whole overlapping picture of the Bible. It was only published in 2017, 240 pages. It just deals with 1 Peter, which I think probably most commentaries, if you're going to get the right level of details, should just deal with 1 Peter. But where's the bibliography? You know, it's barely findable, and there are actually quite few footnotes. And I think that's what lets this down a little bit. But the text is good. Having just mentioned the NIVAC is written by Scott McKnight, and of course the whole point of this commentary is to always deliver an application for each section. This was published in 1996, it's 295 pages, layout's good, very accessible, it's usual Scott Knight quality, it's very, very good indeed. And this has a note on the back recommending it by Billy Graham. And how many commentaries do you see with that name on? So a very worthwhile read. I suppose all of the ones that I've talked about so far have been ones that if you can get your hand on them and they're cheap, they're worthwhile on your bookshelf, but maybe they're not in that top league. I've got quite a lot in my top league for 1 Peter, which will start with the New International Commentary on the New Testament. This is Peter David's First Epistle of Peter, the second revised edition from 1995 with 266 pages. Gordon Fee said it was outstanding, and I probably wouldn't argue with that. It's a very, very good commentary. And whereas often you might find this series on the very top one or two in my range that I have, actually it isn't that high up for me, but it's definitely in the start of the really good ones. Hermeneia, Paul Achtmeyer has done 1 Peter. This was published in 1996. It's got 423 pages. If you've not had a Hermeneia volume before, then let me tell you, it's a truly technical commentary. It's very academic. The layout is somewhat unique. Lots and lots of footnotes. It's really very good. A good bibliography, all hardbound in general. Very, very excellent work. What I would say is, if you are really looking into this maybe a little bit deeper than just a Sunday message, then this is probably one of those that I would say is probably required reading. It really is an excellent commentary, but you have to look for the subtleties in it. Achtmeyer does have a lot to offer. Now, the new Beacon Bible commentaries have been a favourite of mine since I first discovered the Romans volumes. This one covers 1 and 2 Peter and Jude, and it's by Daniel Powers. And I have to say to you, I think this is absolutely brilliant value for money. These volumes are all coming paperback, but I haven't got a crease in any of mine, and they've all been well read. You just have to look after them a bit. But what I would say to you is the layout is excellent. Reading them is like a breath of fresh air. I don't find it troublesome or awkward to have to discipline myself to go through one of these. Published in 2010, this has got 302 pages in total. So this has got 158 pages on 1 Peter. And I would suggest to you, you will have to travel a long way to get 158 better pages. This offers true value. It will give you great insight into 1 Peter. I think you will see in here quite how relational Peter is, how he has got something that he is engaging with every group. And I think, personally, this is really brilliant. I feel that I could preach up a storm from this one commentary. Now, the next one was revised in 2015. It's 416 pages, and it's J. Ramsey Michael's Word Biblical Commentary. Now, you may from time to time have heard me critique the layout of these commentaries. When I say the layout, I mean what it looks like on the page. I think the way it's designed in terms of the split is very good, but often the pages are not brilliant white, and the text is not always overtly black. And it's often hard to read. You need good light on the pages. But I have to say that of all my commentaries on 1 Peter, this is the one that has been opened the most. I've had a version of this for a long, long time. I've had the 1988 version, and it is absolutely amazingly good. Every time I read it, I hear J. Ramsey Michaels teaching me from his armchair, telling me the things that I need to know. It's a true technical commentary. I would say, personally, it's the one that immediately jumps to mind. It really has a lot to offer. And J. Ramsey Michaels, who has done some other great commentaries like his new international commentary on the New Testament for John's Gospel, which is quite remarkable. This one is also in that quality, and I commend it to you wholesale. It's really, really brilliant. Now, how could you listen to one of my videos without me banging on about Ben Witherington III? And you would be right. His Letters and Homilies for Hellenized Christians Volume 2 covers 1 and 2 Peter. It was published in 2007. 259 of the pages deal exclusively with 1 Peter. And this is just a breath of fresh air. It's almost like every double page, something will just jump out at you and you'll think, oh, thank you, Ben. This is a really excellent commentary. It opens up 1 Peter brilliantly. And once again, I think you see things in this which are often ignored by other authors. Because Ben Witherington is wanting to bring out what's there between the lines. And I personally think I am listening to a brilliant preacher when I read this commentary. It's accessible, it's engaging. Just get this one. It's really, really good. Letters and Homilies for Hellenized Christians, Volume 2. Now I'm down to what I suppose are my final 3. Joel Green has a long time been a favourite commentator of mine, particularly on Luke's Gospel. But this is Joel doing 1 Peter. It's in the Two Horizons series, which really, again, is looking at a textual commentary and the theological viewpoint of the book. And Joel Green is just a delight. It's an absolute delight to read this. I think that the layout of these books is very good. They read easily, but Joel Green is such a great academic and an even better communicator that when you read this, you will feel that you've been on a university course with him. It's really an excellent commentary. I can't recommend that one enough. Now I'm going to get to my top 2, and both of these are brilliant. My advice is that if you want a top class commentary on the book of 1 Peter, you ought to at least have one of these. Karen Jobes, or Hobes, or I'm not quite sure how it's pronounced, Jobes, is an absolutely brilliant commentator, a great theologian today. She's written these 364 pages in 2005. This is the Baker Exegetical Commentary on the New Testament on 1 Peter. This is detail on the page. It's a true academic product. It's got great indexes, a great bibliography. It's got lots of notes. This is a real treat. And if you're studying 1 Peter for a module at university, or you're just wanting a proper good in-depth look for a series that you might be preaching, Jobes, sorry Karen, I apologise. I'll have to get your name right for next time. Whatever the pronunciation, this is a quality commentary. It should be pride of place on your bookshelf. But I have one which, well, I've just got to say, I think this one is probably the best commentary currently available on 1 Peter. It's written by Craig Keener. It's a standalone commentary. By that I mean it's not part of any particular series. Karen Jobes recommends it on the back. And this is written in 2021. It's 608 pages. But listen to this. Of those 608 pages, only 413 are commentary. So where are the other 200 pages? Well, this is where you get the real value from this commentary. 97 pages of bibliography. This has the best bibliography out there on 1 Peter. It's the most up-to-date, most current bibliography you are going to get. And you ought to buy this just for the bibliography. You ought to look through this, see what Craig Keener has read, and then decide which books you want in your library. This is an absolutely brilliant reference point. If there was no commentary with this, I would say it's still worth it for the bibliography and indices. Now, the other pages are an index of authors, 34 pages, and an index of ancient sources, 61 pages. Now, if you're into ancient sources, again, this is the best reference you're going to get that will give you those lists. And I thoroughly commend it to you. Right, let's get back to the 413-page commentary. 413 pages for 5 chapters. This is a lot of detail. You will get an incredible amount of detail and context from Craig Keener. Craig Keener is one of today's foremost theologians. He is a great Bible student himself, and I once read that he had over 100,000 record cards of notes that he'd made on particular scriptures, and he files them away. And I think that was probably before he went digitized. But this man has got so much hard work put into his studies. This is a brilliant book. So when you get into this, you will find that the detail on every verse is purely obscene. It's absolutely brilliant. You will get whatever it was you were looking for in 1 Peter, it's here in this book. I have as yet failed to not find a worthwhile comment on something I was studying in 1 Peter from this book. It really is remarkable. Incidentally, the layout of this book has been well thought through. It's brilliant white paper, it's good black font, it's got insets in grey, it's got tables, it's got huge amounts of footnotes. This is a true work of art. So what I would say to you is, I think at the moment we have a leader in 1 Peter Commentaries. It's Craig Keener, and I would say to you, whether you actually love his commentary or not, you will love his bibliography. You will love his index of ancient sources. This is a man who has left nothing to chance. He has put it in the book, and I can only commend this to you. So, I have not mentioned a couple of other commentaries that I have. I'm not particularly fond of the current New Cambridge commentary on the New Testament on 1 Peter. There are 1 or 2 others that I've got that are not that brilliant. I've got Bede's commentary on 1 Peter, which is good, but it's ancient. And just because it's good, it doesn't mean that Bede's saying anything that is not said by the sort of range of authors that are on my bookshelf. But again, if you saw it cheap, consider adding it. But what I would say is, what I've tried to give you today are those that I consider favourites. And that top set, I totally commend to you as being very, very worthwhile reading investments. If you have them in a piece of software like Logos, or if you have them on an online rental with your university, that's absolutely great. If you're like me and you like the feel of paper between your fingers, it ends up costing you a bit more. But I thoroughly commend to you most of the books that I have offered up. And if you just ended up with 3 of these, different levels of commentary, maybe chosen because of offers and value discounts that suppliers had offered you, then that wouldn't be a bad thing. You don't all have to have quite as many commentaries as I do on 1 Peter, and you will have to forgive me for my overindulgence. But that's as much as I have to say. If you've liked it, please give us a thumbs up on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. If you haven't got a friend to subscribe, please pass this on to your friends, because we are just trying to burst through the 1,000 barrier for subscribers, which will help us with the algorithm. It will just help it get out there. And if you click on the bell, you can be sure that you'll be among the first to know when we release another episode. So that's it, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for engaging with us. And until next time, all I have to say to you is bye.